City Matters.
Welcome back to the Fog of War and Humanity. I'm your host, Richard Acritelli. I'm with Dennis Moran to my left. We just had a heck of a conversation about his earliest moments in Vietnam, some of his responsibilities, most of all his observations, being in kind of a strange land. And he kind of spoke about his days of hunting and being in the trails of the North Shore and some of the things that his brothers taught him that kind of came back to really support him when he was on point out front for many of the missions in Vietnam for over a year in South Vietnam. So the last episode we spoke about Tri Cu.
Right.
So what would you have to say, or what do you remember about that part of the country?
Well, it was mostly all swamplands. I mean, to the west was Cambodia. I would say maybe 6-8 miles from the river. And we were at the Navy base. We were stationed there, and we would be. They'd put us out on the PBRs along the river for ambush. And one night when we were out on ambush, the other platoon, we had Vietnamese soldiers with us, and the Vietnamese opened up on a sampan coming through the canal next to them, and one of the Vietnamese was killed, and they sank the whole sampan. I think they killed a bunch of VC, and they floated down the river. But to show you how it was like back then, so the dead South Vietnamese soldier, they took all his watches and everything he had on him, the other South Vietnamese soldiers. That's how things were back then.
Who would take that, the Viet Cong or the North Vietnamese, or with their own side?
Their own side. They took it.
Of Arvin, right?
My buddy was there with our group, the other squad, and I guess they had 6 or 8 South Vietnamese soldiers there. So when that one guy got killed, they just turned and they just started taking his stuff. Amazing. Well, that's how life was with them over there.
What did you think of Arvin or the South Vietnamese Army?
There was only one good unit. The village South Vietnamese soldiers were terrible.
Not reliable, right?
Yeah, you didn't want to take them out there with you, you know. We were out in a firefight one time. We'll get into that later. But
did you see similarities between the fall of Afghanistan, where we propped that whole army up and then they just took off and allowed the Taliban to come into Kabul? Did you see some similarities there where they maybe didn't take their training seriously and almost not much heart into?
Yeah, I would say like maybe half were good in both places, but they knew what was going to happen. I mean, they fought for a while. We had a 25th Division, which I belonged to, of South Vietnamese soldiers, and we went with them a couple of times, and they were much better. They were good.
You could see the difference,
Yeah,
right?
Total difference. The other guys would be carrying pots and pans with them and stuff, and just like they were going out on a cruise or something.
Yeah.
It was not that great. But getting back to the Tri Cu, the Navy base, they had about 30 Navy guys there, maybe a little bit more. They maybe had four PBRs. And then they had some big boats they could take the whole company on. And there was a place called the Sugar Mill. We went up there a couple of times where they actually made sugar at one time. And that would be one of the hot spots to go to. But they were really good. And we waited online to get food. There was like 90-something of us in our company. And they'd eat first. And the chow room might have been about 16 by 20. And they eat. We go in 4 at a time, 6 at a time. And their food was unbelievable. Hot chow. We'll never forget that.
Yeah.
So we spent about 2 weeks, I'd say, with them. And then we went back to Cu Chi for a little while. And then we went out with helicopters. And
what was it like your first time in a helicopter?
It was an Eagle flight. And
Did you do any of that in Gordon? Did they ever take you up?
They were supposed to, but it turned out we were supposed to go. That's where I think it was called Fort Lewis, too. And it was right by Gordon, and it was a rainy day, so we never went. So in my first Eagle flight, there was something. They said, we might be firing, and we might come into contact, all this stuff. So they opened up. The doorgunners opened up as we were coming in, and 90% of the time you only went with 4 helicopters. It was 4 guys on each side. You come flying in, you jumped out. Well, they opened up. I had a guy, Eugene Miles, from Texas, black guy, and hell of a nice guy. He was scared to get out, so I jumped out. The helicopters started to go out, pick up, and all of a sudden they come back down again. The 2 door gunners come around and get him and throw him out.
Were you on the ground almost alone, or
no? I had
those other guys.
He was on the other side. I think I had the 3 guys with me, and that was it. And he made one other mistake. That wasn't a good one. We were walking in the rice paddies. It was like first or second day, and we're out there for a while. And all of a sudden, a round goes off, and it was a whole platoon. And the rice paddies had about 8 inches of water in it. The rice was still growing up high. And everybody jumps in the rice paddy, and everybody's screaming, "What happened?" And they yell at me and him, you guys fire your gun? They smell my gun. It's not me. He did. Again, Eugene Miles. They took his gun away. They took all his ammo away and gave him his gun back.
Wow.
Yeah. They weren't cool. They weren't fooling around, But yeah.
What was it like to be in the rice paddies? Were you knee deep in that stuff? Was there roads that
we mostly
trails?
walked on the rice paddies, which is not a good thing to do. Sometimes we went off. When we got closer out of the village, we get off them. But if you walked in the rice paddy, you really were destroying their rice.
But were you vulnerable if you came under attack?
Oh yeah.
Because how high? If you're looking at your body, where was it? To your knee? To your hip?
Well, if you went down the rice paddy, the rice trail itself, the paddy was about 2 foot high. The trail you're walking down, so if you were vulnerable because you're going into an area might be all shrubs and everything, and you were vulnerable. What they did though is they would put grenades on the rice paddy, and they put a stick with a tomato can on a stick and stuck it in the ground, so they would know where the grenade was or anything they put inside the rice paddy as you're walking down. So you're constantly watching for that. Sometimes they put them down; they wouldn't put anything on them, but you're constantly watching for this. And it would mostly
just
be in the water.
Booby trap, right? Just
booby traps, yeah.
So will you point in the rice paddies as well?
Yeah, I started in the rice paddies, and then you'd go into the marshlands and hedgerows, be all kinds of terrain.
How long did you figure out that job with point? Because you did it a lot. I mean, did it take a couple times to really figure it out, or because it seems like you have a different day in Vietnam every day, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of letters I got from many guys because I didn't realize I walked that much or whatever. But I walked point the whole time from the first day. I never stopped.
During some intense fighting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, you come across the enemy, you guys come across firefights, you're near them.
Right.
Were they, you're not far from the Ho Chi Minh Trail.
Right.
You're probably at points in Cambodia, right? Because you're along the border.
Mm-hmm.
Was it both NVA and Viet Cong, or was there certain points where it was just Viet Cong and other points?
I think we were mostly around Saigon area. We went into one area, a little swampy, and no fresh water at all. And every other day, every third day, I'd go and I would shave. So we were out on a 5-man group. They dropped us all off in 5-man groups, and they'd do a fake liftoff like 8 hours later or 6 hours later to show like we're in that area. Then we pulled back out of there. They'd have guys just laying down, and the whole company was spread out like this. We were probably about half a mile from each other, a mile. So I went down to get some not fresh water, some salty brackish water to come back and shave. And as I went, it was only like 100 feet. As I went down there, there was Ho Chi Minh Trail slippers in the water, and the water was still stirring. And just as I started to turn around, my 4 guys ambush site, I was in charge of that site at the time, opened up. I thought I was getting shot by the Viet Cong, whatever. I'll never forget it. And this one American-Mexican, Richard Moran, as soon as they stopped shooting, it was just a burst. I yelled, Richie, I'm coming in. Well, I must have did the 100-foot dash or whatever in about 2.5 seconds. I dove over these hedges and landed there, and I was also the RTO. And
what's that RTO there?
I was on the radio.
Okay.
I never forget that day.
So you were carrying the radio with you too?
Yeah, I was doing.
You were a hell of a target, right? Jeez.
Well, we just set up for that day.
Okay.
And that night, that was it. So I got on the RTO. I'll never forget my call sign, Alpha Yankee 2. And I think I was calling the battalion. There's a switch or my captain. And we had an M60 machine gun. We left him behind with all the gear. We had to leave somebody behind. We figured we leave the guy. Well, I mean, it was the smartest thing. But we had another guy with an M79. And we knew it was 2 of them. We had a blood trail. I never found out who might have shot or how many shots there were. And I got on the radio, and the battalion commander's up in a little loach. That's a small helicopter. And they had a regular chopper, had the machine guns on it. And we're flying around looking for this guy. And there was a big canal. We had to cross about 4 foot of water. And we're still looking for him. Well, we're looking for him hours, and then we finally, it's enough. They went back to our campsite and was settling in, very prepared for anything that's going to happen. But we ran out of water. And when we came back, the only guy who had water was the M60 machine gunner. He might have 2 things. And, it's 90 degrees, it's humid. So I got it back out to the, I think I switched on to battalion. I got this, it was night already. And I got on, maybe it wasn't night, before night. I got on battalion command. I'm talking to an E4 specialist. And I said, we ran out of water. We could really use some water. I said, I'll get to the battalion commander. And I called back once and nothing. So the next morning they sent out water to us. 8, 9 o'clock by chopper, landed. And we all run out. And there were clear tubes about 3 feet long. I don't know. They might have 2 gallons each on it. It was like 12 of them. We took them all. Right? It was supposed to be for the whole company.
Sure.
And they were going to go to different hops. We took them all. I'll never forget it. We laid 2 on each side of us. It was 5 of us for the 2. Opened them up and just drinking them out, spraying it. There's nothing worse than running out of water, I tell you.
Especially in
Vietnam.
In Vietnam, right?
And the captain calls up, "What'd you do? Why'd you take all the water?" I said, "I thought it was all for us." 2 hours later, we're going in on a stand down into it was a base camp called Colorado, and big base camp. We went in there, took our showers, and got to change the clothes. Went back out in the field again. Now we went on a mission 8 hours later with the Australians, I think with Thais and South Vietnamese.
Any New Zealanders or?
Yeah, I think with New Zealand.
Okay.
Still. I'm supposed to squeeze this company of sappers supposed to be there. And we're supposed to be there at a certain time. We're going to walk at night, which we never did before. We weren't happy about that at all. I'm talking like this and bring back a few memories. So
let me ask you this.
Sure.
The South Vietnamese, the glass was definitely half empty,
yes,
right?
Right.
The Australians, the New Zealanders, the Thai.
Great.
Were those guys? They were in it though, right?
Yeah,
They were.
Thai were great. The rocks were the best, but we didn't have anybody.
Was that South Koreans?
Yes, they were supposedly the best soldiers over there.
If the Thai, the South Koreans, right? Because more Asian, right? Than the Australians, right?
Yeah.
If those guys were caught, did they get treated differently, or? Because I'm sure some of them must have fallen into captivity, right?
Yeah, they got treated really bad, after the war. The ones that were captured.
That were
Anybody in the
brutal.
military, it was brutal for them for years. And they made them change their whole way of thinking and everything.
Because here we're Caucasian mostly, right? And
Right.
African American soldier, American, right?
Right.
But you have Asian soldiers fighting Asian soldiers. The North Vietnamese army and the Viet Cong were brutal to begin with, right? So,
What I heard, they were really brutal, to them. But they changed them over, but they didn't really change them over. Because being Americans being there, they changed them back a little bit. No, well, look at South Vietnam. We're just buying stuff from them, and it's come a long way.
sure.
Yeah.
So those soldiers were pretty good allies to have. Did you talk to like the Aussies or any of those guys? Or
What happened one time, we were from the road, there was about 2 miles of brush and clearing, and we were on the outskirts of the jungle. It wasn't heavy jungle, but it's jungle. And all of a sudden, we had these APCs coming at us in a tank, and they got with about a quarter of a mile from us, and they slowed down and went slower. They thought we were a Viet Cong or something. They were coming out after us, and we talked for a little while. And that was about, I really didn't see much of them, maybe in a base camp or something, but that was about the one thing.
we have an Australian hat in the museum.
Yeah, they were cool.
That looks like a big Western hat that's just flipped up, you know? And they were good guys, though, huh?
Oh, yeah, the best. But,
you have a lot of rough experiences in Vietnam that stay with you.
yes.
But you also have some memories where you're smiling, you're talking about these guys, right?
No, we had some great memories.
You have your American comrades, but you have your comrades
No.
from that area of the world too.
I still keep in touch with a couple guys. One guy was originally from Chicago. He's down in Florida. We see each other once in a while. And
You never miss a beat.
yeah, he took it a little harder than me. He was a couple of years older. I don't know if he got drafted out of college or finished college, because they did start drafting. And he didn't want to have kids anymore. He just, a little shell. He married the girl he was writing to, and she was a nurse. But, he took it really rough.
Every guy, it's got to be
Yeah.
a little bit different, right? I would imagine, right?
Yeah, he went to, I lost, well, I'll get into some of the fighting now. And we talked about that one thing. It was a couple months later. I think it was Bernie Lynch came back. We were just building a tiny fire support base on the other side of the highway from Colorado. So that would be northeast of Saigon. And we're making all these sandbags. That was going to be real small because we had firepower from across the street. I don't know what the hell we were doing it for. We were about 400 yards away from the other. That was called, what the heck was that one called? It doesn't matter. Anyway, Bernie Lynch came in from his R&R and says, we're going to Cambodia. We're looking at what? I said, I'm not kidding. He heard from back at Cu Chi or something like that.
But you weren't too far from there to begin with, right? You were
At that
pretty
time,
near.
that time we were. We were east of Saigon, northeast. So we were probably 60 miles away.
Okay.
So we found out, and then from making sandbags, emptied them out, right? Emptied them all out. I don't know if we took a deuce and a half. We're back to Cu Chi. Both battalions of wolfhounds are there, the 1st and the 27th. And we know where we're going now. They're trying to keep it quiet, but I'm sure it wasn't quiet. So we're all going out drinking. And they didn't even put us in any kind of barracks then. We just had an open grass field. And I'll never forget coming back, we didn't drink that often. We were out in the field. So
Were you drinking Budweiser or were you drinking South Vietnamese?
no, it wasn't South Vietnamese. It was like the 2.0 or what,
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Either way, it went down pretty good, though.
It
right?
went down good,
Yeah.
but we couldn't drink much because
Yeah.
you go out and wait, a month out of drinking, you're coming back. So everybody's drinking. Everybody's coming back with the MPs. They put guys on the hood and guys in the back. I was on the hood. We were drunk within five beers, right? They'd stop the Jeep and I just rolled off with a bunch of, must have been 400 guys there, with both, maybe it was just our battalion in one spot. So that'd be about 400 guys. So everybody's sick and puking. The next day, around 90-something degrees, I guess they would have sober up a little bit. We're on the airstrip in Coochie, and all these C-130s are coming in, taking a group of us out. Now we're going real close to the Cambodian border. It's a Green Beret base camp, small. I mean, it might have been 300 feet across each way. They landed in this field. First of all, I didn't know these things can turn like this and land like this. They make the turn, and they come down within 300 feet. They land, and we get out. And the base camp, the little base camp they have, was so big we couldn't even get in the inside. Now we're all on the outside, We spent one night sleeping on the ground there. The next day, all these helicopters come in, 26 helicopters.
Wow.
We only used to go in with 4. The whole, half the battalion's moving out at one time.
So that goes to show you it's a large operation.
Yes. We were scared. We carried more ammo than we ever carried. So now we went to the helicopters and, we usually go on helicopter flights 15 minutes long. 20 is, this thing's like a good half an hour or so. Land in this giant field. There's jets flying around us. There's Cobra gunships flying around us. We're going, oh man, this is bad.
We're in the thick of things, right?
Right? So now within an hour, we were in the rear. You had, I don't think it was Alpha, but, Bravo on the left side, Delta on the right. My friend Alan, we got to meet that night before we left. And they take off, they spread out, and we stay back. And we're all one company staying back. And we're sitting on these anthills. There was no ants there. It was unbelievable anthills. And the captain says, everybody clean their weapons. We didn't do that much. So I was cleaning my weapons. Every other guy, not everybody, every other guy cleaned their weapons, and some guys weren't. And all of a sudden, I get into cleaning my weapon. So these 3 guys are on bicycles with their weapons slung around them, heading right towards us. Well, they blow the first guy off the bike, and the other 2 guys start running. It looked like Mutt and Jeff. One guy was short, one guy was tall.
And you guys were in Cambodia.
We were in Cambodia. They come over.
They didn't expect that, those guys.
No, they didn't expect it.
Because that was such a safe haven for years.
Yep.
Right?
Way in there.
And Nixon got hammered
For
with
doing
expanding
it.
the war, but he was going after their supply lines and everything.
They would have done that in the beginning
Yeah.
and kept it up. The war would have been over.
Yeah.
It was such a political war. We originally heard we were going in there to a POW camp. So anyway,
Did they brief you on that? Did they kind of say?
yeah, they did. We had heard that. And we were happy to do it. That was the only time I was thinking we were doing something that was important. Because most of the time you just went out and came back,
Yeah.
Same old thing. So anyway, the next day we were in platoon size. So it was a little hairier. I think we had like 25 guys in our platoon. And we had, 4 platoons. We never really went. We were surprised. I thought we were going to say company size. I think we did for one night. We didn't care for it because we thought we were going to really hit some action over there. So we're in platoon size. We're walking through this field and there's a village. And all these people come out of the village with pineapples and coconuts and then bowing down to us. They come all the way out. They come about 200 yards from
What
the
did
village.
you think when did you ever see that before?
No. These were all Cambodians in a village. And we accepted the pineapples, whatever we did. So now we check out the village. Go around, check everything. Everything's pretty cool. and we leave. I think we went out the same way. We went someplace else. Well, the next day, just to about 300 yards from that village was an NVA base camp. And the 2nd platoon went out, and they got pinned down. And the one lieutenant they had for West Point, big heavyset guy, he was always passing out. Well,
From the heat
and whatever. We saw him one time passed out. We passed him one
Did
time.
Did you lose weight when you were there?
Oh, yeah.
Because you were always probably a big guy, right?
Well, back then it was maybe 180 pounds, and then I went maybe 185. I think I was down to 165.
Yeah.
Remember, I was wearing 26-inch pants, 28-inch pants. So,
but you're sweating all the time and you're moving.
I was
right?
trimming. But believe it or not, the sea rations is a very good meal for you because it keeps you fit. We were unbelievable fit. Everyone. There was only one or two heavy set guys. I think that's what they go by. Got weight before I went in the military.
All right, so Dennis, we're going to come back for a 4th episode.
Yep.
We're going to talk about your time in Cambodia.
Yep.
And just some of the extremely interesting and important experiences that you've had as a young man.